The windy beating of wings, the squawks, the honks, the whistling with the signal of autumn in each note. Hello, I'm Andrew Duggan, and these are the sound of migrating waterfowl. To listen is to remember seasonal rhythms modern man has mostly taught himself to ignore. To look upward to see strings of ducks and geese threading toward the southern horizon is to be called back to a world you might have thought lost. November marks the peak of waterfowl migration throughout the Pacific Flyway, one of 4 such aerial interstates in North America. In all, perhaps 15 million ducks, geese, and swans make their annual passages from their northern nests in Alaska to warmer winter homes, to nest and breed. Along the way, they will rest at more than 40 national wildlife refuges and countless state refuges, marshes, estuaries, and sloughs, all known as wetlands. Even to an age jaded by jet travel, the distance these birds fly is impressive. While many fly short hops of 100 miles or less, snow geese and Canadian honkers journey from Wrangel Island in Siberia to California's Central Valley, a distance of 3,000 miles. But today, the birds find far fewer resting and nesting areas than they did a century ago. These wetlands are an ecological middle ground. Places caught between water and land. Places caught between wildness and human development. California once had 5 million acres in wetlands. Today, it has less than 500,000 acres. What happened to them? Where did they go? I'm standing on what was once part of the largest coastal wetland in California, the San Francisco Bay. Today, it's the financial heart of one of the world's most beautiful seaport cities. In less than 100 years, California lost 90% of these meeting places for the masses. America has witnessed the loss of over 60% of its wetlands in this century. This land heritage was turned over by the plow for crops, blanketed by asphalt and concrete for highways, subdivisions, converted to dump sites, filled for urban sprawl, and sucked dry for irrigation water. Some speculate that land development has caused a 50% loss in California's waterfowl populations. George Studenski, a Forest Service biologist, is concerned.
When we realized the extent of wetland losses in this state, we began to look for ways to reverse the trend on the public lands we administer. We have some areas where the water just runs off and is lost. The problem was to figure out how to trap the water economically and hold it through the nesting season. Then we could attract waterfowl and maybe they would produce young. It's like giving nature a shot in the arm, restoring a natural legacy.
George Studenski is the coordinator of the Wetlands Project on the Modoc National Forest.
When this project started in 1965, no one would have guessed that today this district would be supporting over 50,000 ducks and geese during spring migration. We found an area here on the Devil's Garden Plateau that had wetland potential. It lies in the path of the flyway, so it was a natural. Even though this is high desert, the old-timers who farmed here raised hay for cattle. The area contains old irrigation projects that didn't work, weren't used, or were simply abandoned. Our plan was to refurbish those old structures and store spring runoff. Basically, we were just complementing what was already here. The next step was to build devices that would attract the birds to nest. These tubs were made from oil drums. They were the first nesting devices built for Canada geese. It's amazing what can be done with a little money and a lot of ingenuity. We've replaced the tubs with islands. These artificial islands, made of dirt and rock, are ideal nesting sites for Canada geese. Ducks like them too, especially when they are covered with dense, tall grasses and forbs.
While these initial efforts were successful, they barely scratched the surface of what could be done if more money were available. So the Forest Service took their ideas to Dan Chapin, resource coordinator for the California Waterfowl Association.
The association gave the service $1,000 for this test program and also approached the Dean Witter Foundation for $1,000 in matching funds to get it off the ground.
Until 1974, Canada goose production on this reservoir averaged about 25 young from 15 breeding pairs. With improvements, the results were impressive. The reservoir now produces 200 young from 70 nesting pairs each year.
The initial program was a success. It was clear that we had the potential for a major program.
But more money was needed. It came from several sources. A significant contributor is the California duck hunter. Hunters pay a fee for the privilege of hunting on the public lands. They purchase a duck stamp. Until 1977, almost all of that money went to improve wetlands in Canada, a major nesting area. Here again, the CWA went to work. They convinced the California legislature to raise the duck stamp fee and commit $1 million a year to support the Modoc wetlands and other federal waterfowl projects in the state. More funding help came from individuals like Joseph Long, owner and president of the Long's drugstore chain.